Welcome into Luttie's Look Back. My name is Nick Luttrell. It's a pleasure to be with you. My last name is Luttrell. That's why we got the name Luttie's Look Back. We're taking a look back at the weekend of sports. In case it's your first time ever watching this show, thanks so much for being here. It's November, as you can maybe tell with my, best attempt at a beer. At least I'm better than Tyler Cass. I mean, go and watch Friday Night Blitz if you haven't already. It was a great show, and I kind of showed him up in the beard game too. He was lying. He shaved. He didn't actually do the thing. But I'm trying, and hopefully you like it. Hopefully you're not barfing at your screen right now. But anyway, forget about my beard. Let's talk about the show. We got a fun show for you all today. We'll talk Arkansas basketball, primarily Arkansas basketball. We'll touch on football a little bit later with the Razorbacks, but talk about Coach Cal and the Hoop Hogs. We'll also get to football around the state of Arkansas with Arkansas State, UCA, UAPB, and then talk about the GAC, which is going into their final regular season game this upcoming weekend. We'll, of course, get to high school football. They just finished their regular season this past Friday, and they've got the playoffs starting this week, so that should be really exciting. But we'll start today's show how we always do with my three big things from Arkansas's 72-67 loss to Baylor. If you're just now checking into the Arkansas basketball game or Arkansas, what's going on with Arkansas basketball, they're number 16 in the country. Baylor is number 8. They played in a neutral site affair down in Dallas. Obviously, it's 90 minutes from Waco, Texas, where Baylor University is, and quite a bit further from the University of Arkansas. But they did say that the crowd was split down 50-50. So that was good to see a lot of Hog fans showing up and supporting the Razorbacks. But let's talk about this game. A close loss, but the team played good. A few areas of concern I want to note, and that's where we start my first point, and that's the shooting woes. 5 for 20 from beyond the arc. Not just shooting woes, but three-point shooting woes was really a problem. Baylor came out in a zone that stifled the Arkansas offense early on in this game. The first 7 or 8 minutes, Arkansas could never really seem to get going offensively. They did okay on the defensive side of things, but not what you want to see on offense. And it's kind of funny because Eric Musselman, he's not the coach anymore. It's John Calipari now, and I know expectations are really high, but I'd like to see them shooting better three-pointers. And kind of what I was getting at with, when they had the teams under Muss, they were kind of all similar. They really struggled to shoot beyond the three-point line. I don't have the perfect stats to give you guys for that, but it really seemed like the Musselman era, they were a team that's going to drive to the rack. They're going to speed you up. They're going to create intense defense, maybe press a little bit, and that's how they won games. They didn't win games by draining three-pointers. And so I was hoping, Coach Cal's in town. He's the coach now. Maybe you put that concern aside and Arkansas can shoot threes now. Doesn't look like it early on in the season, and according to Cal, that's maybe their strength is three-point shooting, and they only made 5 of them on Saturday night against Baylor. So that was tough to see, but again, not too concerned this early on in the season. The second one, Adu Thiero, this guy can play. He led the Razorbacks with 24 points and 6 rebounds, and he was the only guy. He was the guy who made the very first three-pointer for the Razorbacks. He was able to get the ball inside and not only efficiently get the ball inside for the Razorbacks on the offensive end, but score inside, score in the lane. You had other guys like Boogie Fland and John L. Davis and Jonas Adu that were getting in the lane, but they were kind of throwing up shots that didn't go in. And Adu Thiero, his shots were going in. He was the one who made the very first three-pointer. I think he had 4 3 balls on the night, and that's 4 out of the 5, and so that's pretty impressive. He had 4 or at least 3, so he definitely led the team in three-point shooting, led the team in points. He did really well for the Razorbacks, so it's fun to see him doing so well. We saw that potential. Those of you who watched him last year at Kentucky with Coach Calipari, obviously now he's at Arkansas. We saw that potential last year, and now it's good to see it's paying off. That heartbreaker's paying off for Thiero this year, so hopefully we'll see him continue to get better. My last point, it's only November. Let's all relax. Let's take a chill pill. I don't know how you guys are feeling about this Arkansas loss, but there's no need, and this is why I'm going to try to talk about this as succinctly as possible. There's no need to freak out. Arkansas football, you can freak out, all right? You can freak out right now because not going so hot. Arkansas basketball is their second game of the season. Let's all relax. This team isn't going downhill. Now, yes, is it kind of similar to how it's looked in the past or how it looked last year with the Arkansas team that, they could be a good team and then they really faltered down the stretch? Yes. but I have so much trust in Coach Calipari, and you should too. It's John Calipari, folks. It's John Calipari. It's not Eric Musselman, with all due respect. It's John Calipari. So let's calm down. Let's let him go to work. There's only one returning player from the Razorbacks from last year's team to this year's. Got a couple Kentucky transfers that know each other's names. Everyone else is different. Some freshmen, some transfers, some other guys who just sit on the bench. Everyone else is different. So this is a very unique team. And I know a lot of college basketball teams right now have new players, but for Arkansas, it's definitely going to be an adjustment, getting those new players to work together and to play together. But I'm just saying, relax. It's going to be okay. Lots of basketball left to play. But Hogs, of course, get the lose 5 points to Baylor. And here's Coach Cal after the game.
First half, it can't be on them because we just haven't worked that much against zone because we haven't scrimmaged. We've had 5 guys for weeks. Halftime, we went in and said, all right, we got to do this way. And I think you saw that we moved the ball. The reason Scott stayed in it, and he should have, we looked so bad against the zone. Why would you get out of it? So second half, I thought we did it. I thought we fought. We never gave up. We gave ourselves a chance. We took 5 bad shots at critical times. And you're trying to explain to the players, they're not bailing you out. So go in there to make the shot or pass it to somebody. If you go in like throwing your body and then hit the floor, they're not calling those. This, showed me some good stuff. We got a lot of work to do. I still think my team's pretty good. Got to make a shot or two. You don't have to make them all. You just can't miss them all. And we got to make our share, and we got good shooters. We really do. Half the building was Arkansas people. I'm just disappointed we didn't win, but I hope they say they fought, they tried, they're doing some good things. I can see they got a ways to go, but it's a good group.
So obviously you don't want to ever lose a game, but I think there is some truth to what John Calipari is saying there. There is some hope, and again, it's still very early on in the season. And as I mentioned earlier, Baylor, number 8 in the country. They're a really good team. I'm not going to say forget that they lost their first game of the season, because they did. They lost by almost 40 to Gonzaga, and that's a giant loss. But Baylor has kind of done that. If you look at their schedule the past few years, they've always played kind of a big opponent the first or second game, and then they bounce back the next game or a few games after that, and they're just fine. And this is a Baylor team that won the national championship like 3 or 4 years ago. So it's a really good program, in case you haven't been following college basketball as of late. Baylor is not just going to be good this year, they're a really good program altogether. So Arkansas is completely valid to have that loss for the Razorbacks. But no doubt, definitely going to be all right as a Razorback fan base. For the men's basketball team, we'll get to some of the other sports later, including football. But let's talk about football now, not just the Razorbacks, but Arkansas State. They were in action over the weekend, and yeah, they didn't do so hot. 55-19 blowout loss to Louisiana. The Raging Cajuns are really good. They only have 1 loss on the year. They're not receiving votes in the AP Top 25, but I feel like they're a team that definitely could be. They're that good, and this is a game where A-State was really never in it. They were down 31-0, I think, or late in the second quarter. They were never in this game. Louisiana put up, I think, almost 600 yards of total offense against the Red Wolves. So that was something that Arkansas State is a good team. They'll be fine. I think they still need 1 more win to get bowl eligible. But this was the top team in the conference, I believe, or at least in their division. And you expected Arkansas State to lose in this one. I think you also expected them to put up a little bit of a better fight. And so I think it's a little disappointing to see that they put up this kind of fight against Louisiana, but they've got a couple games left on their schedule. I know one of them at least should be a win, so I think they'll be just fine. A team that I'm much more worried about is Central Arkansas. UCA, man, they're struggling right now, and I'll put this out there because it's really important to say before I bash on the team for about a minute or so. They were down to their 3rd-string quarterback at the end of this game. Starting quarterback Will McElvain went down in the second quarter, left the game. The backup Austin Myers comes in, and he's playing all right. He's throwing a touchdown. He's doing okay. And then he gets hurt. In the fourth quarter, in comes the redshirt freshman walk-on quarterback. He's never played a snap of college football in his life. and he's going out there trying to score a touchdown to win the game when UCA is down by a touchdown. Eastern Kentucky, they scored a touchdown with 2 minutes left, and then the walk-on quarterback trying to drive them down the field, and he got close there. It was fourth down, about 40 seconds left, and he was not able to convert. And I have a lot of respect for the UCA team. Almost a lot of the teammates went over and patted him on the helmet after he went down and had that tough drive for the Bears. So tough to see UCA has really been bitten by the injury bug as of late. Not just Will McElvain, but Shadarick Powell. He played in this game. He wasn't 100%. And Darius Hill's he's been good. He had close to 100 yards rushing in this game, so he's been good. But you need Powell. Powell is one of the best running backs in the FCS. You need Powell to be a great team, and now UCA is in jeopardy of probably not being in the FCS playoffs. A couple weeks ago, that would have shocked me. They weren't playing good, but they were still winning. Now they're not playing great, and they're losing games, and it doesn't help that they're having injuries down the stretch. I do want to point out a positive. Trajan Bridges, almost 150 yards receiving with 2 touchdowns. He's able to do that with 3 different quarterbacks. So that shows you he's not just Will McElvain's guy. He's every man's guy. He's every best friend's quarterback besides offensive line. When they protect the quarterback, the wide receiver, Trajan Bridges, he is that guy for Will McElvain, for any of the other quarterbacks that UCA is going to throw out there in the future, because I don't know right now what the status of Will McElvain is. But I am worried about UCA. They got a couple games left on the year, and they have to, I think maybe they have 1 or 2 games. I honestly can't remember off the top of my head, but they have to pick it up, and they're at 6-4 right now. So you want to see them continue to get back on their feet like they were playing earlier in the year. The same team that technically beat Arkansas State, but technically lost. It's a whole ordeal. But all right, so move on from UCA to UAPB. Woof. It was a rough weekend for college football in the state of Arkansas. UAPB losing 52-24 to Alabama A&M. Again, Alabama A&M, decently good team. UAPB has a much tougher opponent coming up next week against Southern U, who I think, they're at the top of their division. But UAPB only at 3 wins still. You didn't expect a ton out of this season, so 3 wins that's probably where you thought they would end up at the end of the year. But they've got a couple games left to try and make it better. But rush defense was the big thing I noticed when looking back at these stats. Rush defense, UAPB almost gave up nearly 400 total yards of rushing. So that was definitely their problem there. So a struggle for UAPB. But again, I got to end these with optimism, because I think if you're watching this and you're following along with UAPB, you're probably a fan. So don't get too down on this team yet, because there still is some time left to go. Don't forget, basketball season is basically here for a lot of those teams too, which we'll get to soon. But still in the meat of football season, toward the ends of football season, and let's talk about college football now. That was Division I and FCS. Let's go to Division II. Check out the GAC scores. Harding with a 34-7 easy win over East Central. OBU, Ouachita Baptist, beat the other OBU, as I like to say, 55-0. A good bounce back for OBU after losing to Southern Nazarene last Thursday. SAU destroying Northwestern Oklahoma 78-0. Henderson State getting a nice win 35-17. And also not on here, Arkansas Tech did beat Southeastern Oklahoma State 6-0. A very low scoring one in that one. And Arkansas Monticello fell to Southern Nazarene 24-21. Those are scores that aren't on your screen. Last week of the regular season coming up in the Division II of the GAC. Let's go to some high school stuff now. Scores around the state within high school. This was the last week of the regular season. Bryant with the win, 49-14 over Conway. This one was a bit crazy. It was pretty close at halftime, tied, I believe. If not, Bryant maybe up by a touchdown, and then the Hornets just do what they have done the entire season, the entire past 5 years, it seems like, to most teams. Dominate in the second half, and they win the 7A Central and get the 1 seed in the Central, which we'll talk about later. Little Rock Parkview survived against Camden Fairview. This one was close to begin with for most of the game, but Parkview, the Patriots, did pull ahead, and they win the 5A South. Mills wins the 4A2. It's their first undefeated conference championship in school history, so awesome to see the Comets doing well. with an 8-point win over Lonoke. Arkadelphia, speaking of conference titles, there's a lot of them. As you're going to hear me mention, the Badgers got the win 34-22 over Malvern, and they win the 4A7. Glen Rose gets the win 28-6, and they win the 3A4. Prescott with the win, shutting out Centerpoint 19-0, but they didn't win their conference. They are runner-up. A bit of a shocker there because Bismarck beat them a few weeks ago. So Bismarck wins that conference in the 3A4. Let's keep on going. Fordyce with a win 30-10 over McGee. They win the 3A8, and they're undefeated on the year. Watch out for them in Class 3A. And finally, in the Class 2A, excuse me, Conway Christian, it's their first win over Bigelow, 37-6. They win the 2A1. Similar to Mills, it's their first undefeated conference championship in school history. All right, let's get to some Yarnell's sweetest play of the week. Like you guys want to see, let's check them out. Our first nomination, it's Conway Christian's Jaron Thomas. Check out this play from the quarterback. Makes a guy miss, another guy miss, and then says, yeah, I'm going to truck you, son. Hits him inside the red zone for Conway Christian. Big time play there by the Eagles quarterback, and they went on to win. Let's check out nomination number 2. It's Benton's Maddox Davis, and this guy can play. If he plays like this in the playoffs, watch out for the Panthers in the Class 6A. He made like 6 guys miss here. Almost a touchdown. I feel like this is easily the sweetest play if he gets a touchdown. He doesn't, but no doubt an impressive play here from Maddox Davis. Let's check out our final nomination. Nomination number 3, it's Little Rock Southwest. They clinched a playoff berth on Friday night, and check out this play. Damon Franklin to Martrell Martin. Look at the touch by Franklin. An incredible pass and maybe an even better catch. One hand, corrals it in with 2 hands, and finds his way into the end zone. Those are your sweetest play of the week. Make sure to tune in, make sure to check out the plays and go vote on thv11.com/sweetestplay. All right, we're over here at the half matrix is the technical term we like to call it. Very exciting. I wanted to be able to bring you every single bracket and break down all of them. Unfortunately, there's only so many hours in a day. I'm only going to be able to do the Class 7A. This is the lineup we've got here in the Class 7A. Should be really exciting. Bryant gets the 1 seed in the Central, Bentonville getting the 1 seed in the West. You see the playoff matchups we got here. All of these happening this Friday night, of course, with a couple byes going on. And then, of course, it'll all end at War Memorial Stadium for the championship game here in a few weeks. But let's go and get to my full bracket here, and I'll break it down for you game by game. But here's what we got here. You can see, spoiler alert, I got Bryant winning it all. But let's break it down game by game and really talk about why I picked these teams to do so well. Let's talk about the first one, Springdale facing off against Cabot. Look, Cabot's a good team, and so is Springdale. Jack Pounders is good for this Bulldogs team, and I think he's going to help lead them to a win over Cabot in the first round of the playoffs. The Panthers, they've had back-to-back 40-point performances to end the year, so they're riding high with some momentum going into this playoff bid, but I don't think they're going to get it here. I like the Bulldogs to go and face Bryant in the very next round. In Fayetteville, of course, they'll advance to the next round. Pulaski Academy, I think it's an easy one over Harbor. Brandon Cobb is sensational. This is a rematch of when the two teams played in non-conference back in 2020. PA won that game like 74-50 something. It was really special. I know that because I was a student at Harbor High School, but my Wildcats ain't so hot this year. They only got 2 wins on the year. They make the playoffs. I think maybe something wrong with the playoff system if you only have 2 wins and you make it in. But hey, that's just me speculating. It's still a good system no matter what. All right, let's move on to the bottom part of the bracket. Little Rock Christian facing off against Bentonville West. This will be the best game that you will see this upcoming Friday night. The Warriors facing off against the Wolverines. This one could be a good one between both these teams. Christian is the 4 seed, West is the 5 seed. I like West to advance in this one and take on their crosstown rival Bentonville in the next round. Conway, obviously they'll advance here with the bye week, or with the bye game there. Rogers should win easily over the Griffins to advance to here. So now we got our Elite 8 here. I've got Bryant over Springdale, Fayetteville taking down PA. Again, This one should be no doubt, or Bryant should no doubt sweep past Springdale because the Hornets are definitely a better team. The first time I think Bryant will get tested is probably in this game against Fayetteville. I don't know if Springdale can. Springdale's put up some good points this year, but I don't think they're going to have a chance against the Hornets. Fayetteville over Pulaski Academy. Look, we can talk all we want about Brandon Cobb, and he is definitely a special playmaker for the Bruins. They got the defense as well. So many offensive weapons. But I like the Bulldogs too much, and I don't know, maybe it's some bias to what Fayetteville was able to do last year. Maybe it's some bias. They got Garrett Odom, the son of Mr. Odom over at UNLV, the head coach there. But Garrett Odom, I would expect to lead them to the next round for that matchup. Let's go on to the bottom part. Again, crosstown rivalry. I really like the Tigers in this one. Bentonville is a good team this year. I'm actually going to have them facing off against Conway our next round because Conway going to take down the Mounties in the in the Elite Eight quarterfinals. And then here we go, our Final Four, the same Final Four as last year between all four of these teams. It's flipped up a little bit. Bentonville facing off against Conway. This is going to be a good matchup. This is a rematch from week 1 when both of these teams faced off, but Conway ended up getting the big win against the Tigers in week 1. I think you flip that around this time. Conway, I liked what they did in the first half against Bryant, but I am concerned about them going forward. Grayson Wilson, the Arkansas commit at quarterback, has played really well throughout this season, but he's been dealing with that shoulder injury. We've seen Wesley Tapp step up and be a good replacement for Grayson Wilson, but I think it's too much against the Tigers. I like the Tigers over the Wampus Cats. I like Bryant over Fayetteville. This one is a big one. And of course, Bryant facing off against Bentonville is my pick in the state championship. It's kind of a chalky pick, meaning, all right, we got the 1 seed here, we got the 1 seed there, and then you can see my championship pick is the Bryant Hornets to win the Class 7A. Look, they've got such a special team. Jordan Walker has over 2,000 passing yards this year. They got rushing weapons with Thrash and Anderson running the ball. They've got a stout defense. I think they have too many weapons. If they played Conway again, I think it might be close, but something tells me that Bentonville wants that revenge from earlier in the year. Bentonville over the Wampus Cats, and then I think the Tigers fall to Bryant. Bryant wanted to get the win over Bentonville last year. Of course, these two teams faced off in the semifinals last year, and now Bryant wants their revenge on this one, and they want a state title, and I think they're going to get it. So that is my prediction for Class 7A. I wish we had time for all the classifications, but I'd probably be here for an hour and a half. So that's some high school action to look at for the next few weeks. Let's check out some NFL scores that happened this past weekend. The Titans, yeah, they continue to not do so hot. They fall to 2-7 and lose to the San Diego Chargers. Man, it's been a while since I said that. They lose to the Las Vegas Chargers 27-17. The Chiefs, this game was crazy. Kansas City getting the win over the Denver Broncos 16-14. Broncos had like a 30 or 40 yard kick at the very end of this game as time expired, and the Chiefs blocked it to win the game. Pretty crazy there. Saints, good to see them get the win. It's their first win under their new interim head coach, Darren Rizzi, 2017 over the Falcons. And yeah, the Cowboys continue to struggle. Even if they had Dak Prescott, they might have been blown out in this game. They fall to 3-6. They're still winless at home. So really, really troubling to see the Cowboys aren't doing so hot right now. But if you're a Cowboys fan, maybe it's time to be a Chiefs fan. I don't know what else to tell you. So those are NFL scores. We're wrapping up Luttie's Look Back now and get you to some other scores that you might have missed. We always end our show talking about a couple of things, and the one thing we have to talk about is the Arkansas soccer team. They lost in the semifinals, in the conference semifinals in the SEC in double overtime against Texas Longhorns. So that was a brutal one for the Razorbacks, but they're hoping to stay in the top 4 nationally. I think they were 4 or 5 heading into the SEC tournament. They'll probably bounce outside of that. The national bracket for the NCAA women's soccer tournament is going to be released later today, so we'll see where the Hogs fall. They should at least have their first few games at home, which will be nice. I don't know if they'll be able to have a home field advantage throughout all. We'll have to see how the rest of the season goes. And all right, so that's soccer. Let's talk about some volleyball. The volleyball Razorbacks got a nice sweep over South Carolina on Friday. It's back-to-back wins now for the Razorbacks. 5 games left in the regular season, so maybe they're starting to trend in the right direction after that losing streak earlier in the year. All right, let's go to our Lutties look ahead now to Razorback football. And maybe you're excited for this game because you should get excited. All right, Texas is a really good team, and it's Texas nonetheless. No matter how good Arkansas is, no matter how good the Longhorns are, you can expect this one. Fans will get fired up in this one. It might be close, it might not, but it's a big rivalry. So if you're trying to make the trip down to Fayetteville, I encourage you to go. It's always a fun one when Arkansas gets the chance to play Texas. And you never know, Arkansas might be able to pull off the upset. And that's going to do it for Luttie's Look Back, episode 8, I think. We took a look back at a lot of sports. Thanks so much for watching. We, of course, got the Razorback football team, as I just mentioned, facing off against the Longhorns this upcoming Saturday. Tyler and I will be there live from Fayetteville. We'll have your Hog Zone show, hopefully with a win. We'll see how that goes. But Arkansas, as far as football, it'll be tough for them. It'll be really tough. And I don't want to do too much look ahead because this show is about looking back. And so we'll have to tune in next week, next Monday afternoon, to see if maybe the Hogs pull off the upset. We'll see you then, though.